I saved the results of the previous exercises, OneColorSpotIllustration.ai. And you know what? This still is a little deceptive because there's still some blend modes going on. When you save an illustration that contains spot colors that are subjected to blend modes, you get a warning that tells you that things might not print the way you think they're going to print. And sure enough, we do still have some blend modes at work inside of this illustration. So I'm going to press Control-A or Command-A on the Mac to select everything. And we're not seeing the selection edges because I've hidden them. I'm going to go to the opacity option up here in the control panel. And then notice that there is no blend mode assigned. And that just means that there's multiple blend modes going on. So I'll click on the blend mode option and I'll set it to normal so that we're getting what we really think we're getting. And the leaves over here on the left-hand side darkened up a little bit because they're no longer subject to the screen mode. And this text inside the right-hand t-shirt got a little bit lighter because it's no longer subject to the multiply blend mode. All right, so that's fine. I'll press Control-H so I can see the selection edges. Click off. I'm going to click on this guy in order to make it active, and I'll make sure the opacity is set to 100% so that we don't have any weird interactions going on there, and I'll increase the tint value in the color panel to 100%, and we'll get this result here. So we still have some nice dark text, and actually this looks pretty darn good, and it's indicative of the way the document will really print. All right, the real subject of this exercise, however, is this file here. It's called BigGradientKnots.ai. And you may recall back in the Live Paint chapter that we created that Celtic knot, and it's filled with gradients. And I just want to show you that you can recolor artwork that's filled with gradients, even if those gradients are inside of a Live Paint object here inside Illustrator. So it's a very versatile function. However, you may end up getting effects that you weren't quite prepared for. So let me show you how that works. I'll press Control-A or Command-A on the Mac to select everything that's currently visible inside this illustration. And I guess I have selection edges hidden here too. So I'll press Control-H, Command-H on the Mac to make sure everything's selected. It is. Now I'll go up to Recolor Artwork. Click on it, and we're seeing all these colors. And what Illustrator is showing me here, this list of colors, 14 colors in all, is a list of all the key colors in the illustration. So in other words, it's not calculating every single little step inside the gradient. It's just calculating, for example, the beginning color and the end color inside that gradient, as well as any intermediate key colors in that gradient that I may have created. And so by remapping those key colors, I tell Illustrator to go ahead and readdress the gradients as well. Well, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to remap these colors here inside the Edit view. And I'm going to lock down my harmony rules just so I can drag all the colors at once. And then I'll just give it a drag and see what happens. And that looks actually really cool. I kind of like that gradient scheme right there. And that's why I changed it on the fly. I liked it so much I decided to override it and try something else. But what I'm noticing, the big problem, of course, is that we have tiny little radial gradients inside every single one of the Live Paint intersections. And so we get that exact same effect we got when we applied the gradients in the first place. So I'd say, okay, that's cool. I like this new scheme, let's say. And then once I've left the dialog box, I'd go ahead and grab my gradient tool, just as I did 2 chapters ago. And I'll go ahead and drag from, let's say, right about there down and to the right. And then I'll release, and that goes ahead and redraws all the gradients, which is a wonderful thing. It also makes a mess out of my strokes, which is not such a wonderful thing. So I'll switch back to my black arrow tool. I'll press Control-H, Command-H on the Mac so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll go up to the line weight option, and I'll change it to 2 points to thicken up those line weights. And then I believe I also want those strokes. I'll go ahead and make sure that the stroke is active here inside the color panel. I'll switch over to swatches, and I believe I have a rich black waiting for me. I'll click on it, and that goes ahead and riches up those blacks. So even a very complicated illustration filled with blends and gradients and all that junk can still be subjected to the amazing magic and, I think, efficiency of the Recolor Artwork function here inside Illustrator.